If I were to tell you that there are words so powerful that they have been hidden in plain sight for centuries, you might think I am speaking of magic or ancient superstition. If I were to tell you that there is a specific vibration, a specific arrangement of ideas that, when entertained in the mind with understanding, acts as a solvent for every human difficulty, you might be skeptical. But suppose I told you that this is not magic but law. Suppose I told you that the reason this secret has been effectively forbidden to the masses is not because it was locked in a vault, but because it requires a total revolution of the human personality to use it effectively. We are gathered here to discuss what has been called the forbidden prayer. But why would a prayer be forbidden? Who would forbid it? The answer is that the ordinary human intellect, the carnal mind, as St. Paul called it, forbids it. The world of logic, of sensory evidence, of fear, and of limitation forbids it. To the average person, the idea that a change in thought can produce a pile of money, or heal a diseased body, or mend a broken relationship seems insane. It is forbidden by the laws of common sense. But we are not here to talk about common sense. We are here to talk about uncommon sense. We are here to discuss the science of being. Stay with me, because what you are about to hear is the key to the dungeon. You have been living, perhaps, in a prison of debt, or a prison of sickness, or a prison of loneliness. You have tried to break out by filing away at the bars, by working harder, by worrying more, by manipulating people, by struggling with the outside world. And you have failed. You have failed because you are trying to change the reflection without changing the object. You are about to be handed a key. It is a mental key. It is a spiritual key. And it is the only thing that has ever worked, or ever will work, to permanently set a man or woman free. To understand why this prayer works, and why it brings about what the world calls miracles, we must first lay a foundation. You cannot build a skyscraper on a swamp, and you cannot build a demonstrated life on a foundation of superstition. The first great truth you must accept is this: life is consciousness. Everything that happens to you, from the state of your bank account to the condition of your liver, from the friends you attract to the opportunities you miss, is the physical picturing of your inner mental state. This is not a metaphor. This is the physics of the soul. We live in a universe that is governed by law. When you look at the stars, you see order. When you look at chemistry, you see exactitude. H2O is always water. It never becomes wine by accident. The laws of electricity are the same in New York as they are in Tokyo. You do not pray to electricity to light your house. You wire your house according to the laws of conductivity. You flip the switch, and the light appears. It is impersonal. It is mechanical. It is reliable. Now, here is the great secret that the forbidden prayer activates. There is a law of mind that is just as exact, just as impersonal, and just as reliable as the law of electricity. Whatever you hold in your mind, whatever you dwell upon, whatever you fear, and whatever you reverently believe must come into manifestation in your outer life. It has no choice. The Bible states this clearly: as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. It does not say, as a man thinketh, so he might be if luck is on his side. It says, so is he. This means that your current situation, whether it is one of poverty or abundance, is not a punishment from a distant God. It is not bad luck. It is not the result of the government or the economy. It is the logical, mathematical result of the sum total of your thinking up to this moment. You have built your house with your thoughts, and now you are living in it. This is a terrifying thought to the person who loves their excuses. That is why this truth is forbidden. It strips you of your victimhood. It tells you that no one is doing this to you but yourself. But if it is a terrifying thought, it is also the most glorious, liberating thought in the world, because if you did this with your ignorance, you can undo it with your understanding. For centuries, men and women have misunderstood the nature of prayer. In times of war, scarcity, and desperation, they have looked up at the sky and begged. They have pleaded. They have bargained. "Oh God, if you give me this money, I will be good. Oh Lord, please take this pain away." And usually nothing happens. Why? Because that form of prayer is an affirmation of lack. When you beg for money, you are vibrating at the frequency of poverty. You are telling the universal mind, I do not have this. And the universal mind, which acts as a mirror, reflects back to you exactly what you believe you do not have. You cannot beg God to do what He has already done. The sun does not need to be begged to shine. It shines by its very nature. If you are in a dark basement, you do not pray for the sun to come down and find you. You climb the stairs. You move out of the darkness and into the light that is already there. The forbidden prayer, the master formula we are approaching, is not a petition. It is a movement of consciousness. It is the act of climbing the stairs. It is designed to shift your vibration from the basement of fear to the rooftop of dominion. Emmet Fox often spoke of the mental equivalent. This is the scientific basis of all answered prayer. You cannot have anything in the outer world unless you first possess the mental equivalent of it in your inner world. If you want to be a wealthy person, but your mind is filled with thoughts of fixed income, rising costs, I can't afford it, and money is the root of all evil, then you do not have the mental equivalent of wealth. You have the mental equivalent of poverty. You could win the lottery tomorrow, and within 3 years you would be broke again. Why? Because your mental equivalent would reassert itself. The outer money would disappear to match the inner poverty. Conversely, if you have the mental equivalent of wealth, if your mind is saturated with the conviction that God is infinite supply, and that you are His heir, you could be dropped in the middle of a desert with nothing, and within a short time you would be prospering. You would attract opportunity. You would see value where others see sand. This prayer, which we will analyze in the next section, is a machine for building mental equivalents. It destroys the mental equivalent of sickness and builds the mental equivalent of health. It dissolves the mental equivalent of fear and establishes the mental equivalent of peace. Think of it this way: you are standing in a movie theater. On the screen you see a tragedy. The hero is broke, he is sick, he is alone. You hate the movie. You run up to the screen and try to scrub off the pictures. You yell at the screen. You petition the theater manager to cut the screen with a knife. This is what most people do with their lives. They fight the problem. They fight the debt. They fight the sickness. They fight the enemy. But the screen is just a reflection. The image is coming from the projector booth at the back of the room. The projector is your mind. The film running through it is your habitual train of thought. If you want to change the movie, you must change the film. You must go into the darkroom of your own soul, take out the reel marked disaster, and insert the reel marked triumph. The forbidden prayer is that new reel of film. It was given to us by the greatest metaphysician who ever lived, Jesus of Nazareth. He did not give it to us to be recited mechanically in church on Sundays while we think about what we are going to have for lunch. He gave it to us as a formula for changing the film. We must understand that this prayer is a decree. In the ancient scriptures it is written, "Thou shalt decree a thing, and it shall be established unto thee." Notice the word decree. A king decrees. A beggar begs. When you use this formula correctly, you are stepping into your spiritual royalty. You are not asking God to change His mind. God does not change. God is the same yesterday, today, and forever. God is a constant broadcast of good, life, love, and substance. The problem has never been the broadcast. The problem has been your receiver. Your radio has been tuned to the station of static and fear. This prayer tunes the dial. It aligns you with the station of heaven. When you align with the law works for you. It flows through you. It rushes into your affairs. It does not take time. It takes alignment. The moment you establish the true contact, the current flows. You may ask, if this is so simple, why is it not taught everywhere? Why is it called forbidden? It is hidden by the veil of literalism. For 2,000 years, people have read the Bible as a history book or a rule book instead of a textbook of metaphysics. They have worshipped the container and thrown away the contents. They have worshipped Jesus the man, but they have ignored the Christ teaching He brought. They have repeated the Lord's Prayer, but they have not prayed it. To pray, in the scientific sense, means to change the mind. If you say a prayer and you get up from your knees with the same worry, the same fear, and the same anger you had when you knelt down, you have not prayed. You have merely grumbled in a holy posture. The forbidden nature of this prayer is that it requires you to die to your old self. You cannot hold on to your grudges and use this key. You cannot hold on to your victim story and use this key. You cannot serve two masters. You cannot believe in the power of the economy to hurt you and believe in the power of God to sustain you. You must choose. This choice is difficult. The human ego loves its misery. It loves to say, "Look how much I suffer." It loves to blame the parents, the boss, the spouse. To use this prayer effectively, you must give up the luxury of blame. You must take total responsibility for your life. That is a high price, and few are willing to pay it. That is why the gate is narrow. That is why the secret remains a secret even when it is shouted from the rooftops. So, as we prepare to look at the prayer itself in the next part, I want you to adopt a scientific attitude. Do not approach this with blind religious fervor. Approach it as you would a laboratory experiment. If you were studying chemistry, you would not cry over the chemicals. You would not beg the hydrogen to combine with the oxygen. You would learn the conditions under which they combine, and then you would provide those conditions. We are dealing with divine chemistry. The chemicals are your thoughts. The catalyst is the prayer. The result is the philosopher's stone, the gold of spiritual realization. You are not a body who has a soul, you are a soul who has a body. You are a creative center in the divine mind. You have the power to think, and because you have the power to think, you have the power to create. Up until now, you may have used that power ignorantly to create debt, sickness, and confusion. You have used the law of mind against yourself. You have been like a man using a blowtorch to dry his hair. You have burned yourself with the very tool that was meant to serve you. Now, we are going to learn how to use the blowtorch properly. We are going to turn that heat, that power, that creative fire toward the construction of a life that is worthy of a child of God. I want you to know that the solutions to your problems are not far off in the future. They are not dependent on time. In the mind of God, there is no time but now. The solution exists right now, suspended in the invisible, waiting for you to provide the mental mold into which it can flow. Money is nothing but an idea of circulation. Health is nothing but an idea of harmony. Love is nothing but the idea of unity. These ideas are eternal. They are not manufactured. They are revealed. This prayer is the revelation. In the next section, we are going to take this prayer apart, line by line. We are going to strip away the centuries of religious dust and see the gleaming spiritual machinery underneath. We are going to look at the 7 clauses of the Lord's Prayer, and we are going to see that they correspond to the 7 main aspects of the human soul. But before we do, you must make a decision. You must decide right now that you are willing to let go of the old story. You must decide that you are ready to stop being a creature of circumstance and start being a creator of circumstance. Are you ready to stop looking at the screen and start looking at the projector? Are you ready to claim your heritage? If you are, then you are ready for the forbidden prayer. You are ready to touch the hem of the garment of truth. You are ready to step out of the law of averages and into the law of grace. The world says, seeing is believing. The metaphysician says, believing is seeing. You must believe in the mental equivalent before you can see the physical manifestation. Prepare your mind. Quiet your thoughts. The key is in the lock. The door is about to open. Notice the first word hour. It does not say, my Father. This is the death blow to selfishness and isolation. The moment you say, R, you are acknowledging the unity of all life. You are stepping out of the tiny, frightened shell of the separate ego and acknowledging that there is only one life, and that every person on this planet is an expression of that life. You cannot pray this prayer successfully while hating your neighbor, or fearing your competitor, or despising a politician. The word R dissolves the barrier. It connects you to the grid of universal power. Then, Father. This defines the nature of the creative principle. In the old theology, God was often seen as a judge, a policeman, or a distant emperor. But Jesus used the intimate Aramaic term Abba, Father. What is a father? He is the source. He is the progenitor. The life that is in your veins right now is God's life. The intelligence you use to think these thoughts is God's intelligence. You do not have a life of your own. You have the life of God as you. If God is your father, you have His DNA. You have His attributes. A kitten grows up to be a cat, not a turnip. A child of God must grow up to manifest the qualities of God: dominion, peace, creativity, and joy. By saying, Father, you are claiming your heritage. You are stating, I am not a victim of biology or economy. I am of the royal blood, which art in heaven. Here is where most people get lost. They look up at the clouds. But Jesus was a metaphysician. He said, the kingdom of heaven is within you. In metaphysical terms, heaven means the realm of pure unconditioned mind. It is the realm of cause. Earth is the realm of effect manifestation. When you say, Our Father, which art in heaven, you are saying, I recognize that the cause of my life is within the realm of my own consciousness. You are turning your attention away from the problems earth to the solution heaven. You are looking inward to the silence where the divine idea exists in its perfection. In the Bible, the name of God always stands for the nature of God. And what is the nature of God? It is good. It is wholeness. It is omnipotence, all-powered, omniscience, all-knowing, and omnipresence, all-presence. When you pray, "Hallowed be thy name," you are making a specific mental classification. You are saying, "I rate the nature of God, which is good, as the only reality." This is a subtle but devastatingly powerful point. If God is all and God is good, then anything that is not good, sickness, poverty, feared, has no real power. It may have the appearance of power, just as a shadow has the appearance of shape, but it has no substance. When you hallow God's name, you are looking at your bank statement which says, insufficient funds, and you are saying, "This is a fact of the material world, but it is not the truth of God. I hallow the name of abundance." You are looking at an X-ray that shows disease, and you are saying, "I see the shadow, but I hallow the name of wholeness." To hallow the name is to refuse to give power to the boogeyman. It is to look at the terror of the world and say, "You have no authority over me. The only power is God." This clears the mind of fear. You cannot hold fear and hallow God's name at the same time. They are mutually exclusive. What is a kingdom? It is a place where the king's laws are obeyed. In a kingdom, there is order, there is government, there is provision. We are not asking for the world to end and for Jesus to come down on a cloud. We are decreeing that the order of divine mind be established in our chaos. Most human lives are not kingdoms, they are anarchies. Our thoughts run wild with worry. Our bodies are governed by the collective belief in disease. Our finances are governed by the fluctuations of the market. That is anarchy. When you say, "Thy kingdom come," you are acting as a spiritual engineer. You are pulling the switch. You are saying, "Let the harmony, the order, and the justice of the divine mind take over this situation." If you are in a lawsuit, means, "Let divine justice prevail." If you are in a sick body, "Thy kingdom come," means, "Let the divine pattern of perfect health impose itself upon these cells." You are calling for the reorganization of your life around the central principle of love. You are abdicating the throne of your little ego, which has made a mess of things, and inviting the big mind to sit on the throne and drive the car. This is perhaps the most dangerous clause in the prayer because it has been so tragically twisted by old religious teaching. For centuries, people have been taught that God's will is something to be afraid of. When a child dies, the priest says, "It was God's will." When a tragedy strikes, they say, "We must submit to God's will." This is a blasphemous lie. God is love. God is life. God is infinite, unconditioned good. It is never God's will for you to be sick, broke, lonely, or crushed. Is it the will of the sun to create darkness? No. Darkness is the absence of the sun. Is it the will of life to create death? No. God's will for you is perfection. It is the full expression of your talents. It is the joy of living. When you pray, "Thy will be done," you are not saying, "I resign myself to whatever misery you send me." You are saying, "I command that the perfection which exists in the spiritual realms, thy heaven, be demonstrated in the physical realm as earth." Think of a blueprint. The architect draws a perfect building. That is the idea in heaven. But the builders on the ground earth might mess it up. They might put the bricks in the wrong place. The house looks terrible. To pray, "Thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven," is to say, let the building my life look exactly like the blueprint, God's idea of meat. It is an affirmation of health, not sickness. It is an affirmation of wealth, not poverty. It is the demand that the outer world conform to the inner pattern. Now we move from the absolute to the relative. We move from God to our own needs. But notice, we do not ask for a luxury yacht or $1 million in the future. We ask for daily bread. In the ancient mysticism, bread stands for substance. It is the raw material of the universe from which all things are made. When you ask for daily bread, you are acknowledging that God is the source of your supply. You are not looking to your employer for money. Your employer is just a channel. You are not looking to your clients. They are just channels. You are looking to God, the source. If one channel closes, God will open another, because the source is inexhaustible. Why daily? Because life is lived in the eternal now. You cannot breathe the air for tomorrow. You can only breathe for today. The man who tries to hoard manna for the future is acting out of fear. He does not trust the flow. The scientific prayer for supply is to realize that you are an outlet for divine energy. As long as you are open, the energy flows. It manifests as money, as food, as clothes, as opportunities. Furthermore, bread also means ideas. We are mental beings. We need spiritual nourishment. We need new ideas to solve our problems. Give me the idea I need for this business deal. Give me the inspiration for this painting. That is daily bread. When you have the right idea, the material form follows automatically. This clause is the affirmation of the unceasing flow of divine provision. Here we come to the crux of the matter. This is the great gate. This is the valve that controls the flow. In the original Aramaic and Greek, the word used implies trespasses or shortcomings, but the word debts is metaphysically perfect. A debt is something you owe. A trespass is a violation of law. But notice the condition attached. It does not say, "Forgive us our debts," and stop there. It says, "As we forgive our debtors." This is the law of the circuit. You cannot inhale without exhaling. You cannot receive without giving. You cannot get the forgiveness of God's, which really means the release from the karma of your own mistakes, if you are holding unforgiveness toward another human being. Resentment, anger, and the desire for revenge are like rust in the pipes. You are praying for the water of life to flow, but the pipe is clogged with your hatred for your ex-husband, or your anger at the government, or your bitterness about your childhood. You are asking God to set you free, while you are keeping someone else in the prison of your condemnation. It cannot be done. It is a mechanical impossibility. As long as you are tied to your enemy by the bond of hate, you are tied to his vibration. You are shackled to the very thing you want to escape. To forgive does not mean you have to like the person. It does not mean you have to invite them to dinner. It implies a mental release. It means you cut the mental wire. You say, "I release you to your own path. I will not carry the burden of judging you anymore." When you do this, when you truly let go, you feel a physical weight lift off your shoulders. And suddenly, the forgiveness of God rushes in. Your own debts, your own karmic burdens, your own guilt are washed away. You are fresh, you are new. The channel is clear. This phrase has confused many. Does God tempt us? As the book of James says, God cannot be tempted with evil, neither tempteth he any man. So what does this mean? It is a plea for protection against our own lower nature. The temptation here is not just the temptation to steal or lie. It is the temptation to believe in a power other than God. It is the temptation to believe that the thermometer is more powerful than the truth. It is the temptation to believe that the recession can starve you. It is the temptation to react with fear instead of faith. When you pray this, you are saying, "Keep my mind stayed on thee. Do not let me be mesmerized by the appearances of the world. Deliver us from evil." Metaphysically, evil is not a person with a pitchfork. Evil is the word live, spelled backward. Evil is life lived against the grain of the universe. It is the result of ignorance. We are asking to be delivered from the evil of dualistic thinking, the belief that there is good and bad, God and devil, health and sickness. We are asking to be lifted into the consciousness of the one power. When you are in that consciousness, evil disappears like a shadow when the light is turned on. It is not fought, it is dissolved. This clause is your mental armor. It wraps you in a circle of protection through which no negative vibration can penetrate. We end where we began. This is the seal on the document. This is the cosmic feedback loop. After you have treated for your daily bread, your forgiveness, and your protection, you must not fall back into wondering how it will happen. You must not worry if you are worthy. You must return the focus instantly to the absolute. Thine is the kingdom. You are acknowledging that God is the only ruler. Not the economy, not the doctor, not the luck of the draw. God. And the power. This is vital. We often think power is money or political influence or military might. But there is only one power in the universe, the power of principle. Gravity is a power. Love is a power. When you say, "Thine is the power," you are affirming that the power to heal your body or fix your finances does not come from you or your struggle. It comes from the source. You are plugging the toaster into the wall. The toaster doesn't make the heat. The electricity does. You are acknowledging the electricity and the glory. This is the joy of the manifestation. It is the radiance of the completed work. Forever. This takes it out of time. It is an eternal truth. It was true before you were born, and it will be true after you leave this plane. You are resting your case on the bedrock of eternity. Amen. Amen is a Hebrew word that means, "so be it," or "it is established," or "firm." It is the periods at the end of the sentence. It is the strike of the judge's gavel. It is done. Now, look at the machine we have just examined. Identification. You identify with the source, our Father. Orientation, you acknowledge good as the only realities, hallowed be thy name. Order, you call for divine order, thy kingdom come. Manifestation, you demand the outer reflect the inner, thy will be done. Supply, you claim the energy to live now, daily bread. Clearance, you remove the blocks to the flow, forgiveness. Protection, you guard against the illusion of duality, deliver us from evil. Completion, you seal it with the acknowledgement of omnipotence. The doxology, do you see? This is not a beggar's plea. This is a master's blueprint. It covers every aspect of human existence, relationship, environment, body, supply, emotion, intellect, and spirit. It leaves nothing out. It is a perfect circle of spiritual logic. If you were stranded on a desert island with no Bible, no teachers, and no books, and you had only this prayer, and you understood it metaphysically, you could rebuild your entire life. You could build a civilization. But you must understand the difference between reciting it and praying it. A parrot can recite it. A phonograph can recite it. Only a conscious soul can pray it. To pray it means to take each phrase and hold it in the mind until it explodes into light. It means to dwell on daily bread until you feel the relief of abundance washing over you. It means to dwell on forgiveness until the knot in your stomach untees and the face of your enemy fades into insignificance. This is work. It is the hardest work in the world, which is why so few do it. It is easier to worry. It is easier to complain. It is easier to beg. But begging produces nothing but a sore throat. Scientific prayer produces results. In the final part of our journey, we will look at the specific technique of application. We will look at how to troubleshoot when the prayer doesn't seem to work. We will look at the delay factor and the testing period. But for now, realize that you have in your hands the 7 seals of power. You have the code. The question is no longer, can God help me? The question is, can I discipline my mind to use the tool God gave me? The instrument is ready. The power is on. The operator is you. We have now laid the foundation. We have examined the theory, which is that life is consciousness. We have dismantled the machine, which is the Lord's Prayer, and seen its 7 perfect parts. We have intellectually accepted that we are not victims of fate, but architects of destiny. But, my friends, you cannot live in a house that is only painted on paper. A blueprint is not a shelter. A recipe is not a meal. You can memorize every word of the previous sections. You can nod your head in agreement with the metaphysics, and yet remain exactly where you are, poor, sick, and unhappy. Why? Because knowledge is not power. Applied knowledge is power. The only value of a spiritual truth is the use you make of it. Now we come to the most critical part of our undertaking, the demonstration. How do we take this formula off the page and weave it into the fabric of our daily lives? How do we turn the invisible vibration of prayer into the visible hard cash, the tangible health, and the concrete opportunities we need? We must move from the classroom to the construction site. First, you must understand what happens when you truly pray this prayer, when you dwell upon these truths, when you hallow the name and claim daily bread. You are building a specific vibration in your subconscious mind. Emmet Fox calls this the mental equivalent. This is the law. You must have the mental equivalent of the thing you want before you can have the thing itself. If you want to demonstrate a new job, you must build the mental equivalent of employment, which is activity, usefulness, and reward. If you want to demonstrate health, you must build the mental equivalent of vitality and wholeness. The Lord's Prayer is the tool that builds these equivalents. It clears out the mental equivalent of fear, which attracts disaster, and replaces it with the mental equivalent of faith, which attracts good. When you have successfully built the mental equivalent, something happens. You feel a click. It is a sense of relief. It is a deep inner knowing that it is done. You may not see the money in the bank yet. The pain in the body may still be there for the moment. But inside, the war is over, you know. And once you have that knowing, the outer world must reshape itself. It has no choice. It is as if you have changed the slide in the projector. The picture on the screen has to change. It may happen instantly, or it may take what we call time. But the process has started. The danger of the waiting period. Now, here is where 90% of people fail. They fail in the gap between the prayer and the manifestation. They fail during the time lag. You treat for prosperity in the morning. You feel good. You feel the truth of daily bread. But then the mail comes, and there is a bill you cannot pay. Or the phone rings, and it is a creditor. What do? The ordinary person reacts. They look at the bill, terror seizes them, and they say, It didn't work. I'm still broke. This stuff is nonsense. In that moment, they have dug up the seed. They have looked at the frozen ground, seen no sprout, and decided that agriculture is a lie. You must understand appearances are deceptive. The outer world is always the past tense of your thinking. That bill is the result of your thinking from last month. It is a dead leaf. If you react to it with fear, you are creating new debt for next month. When you are in the waiting period, you must stand porter at the door of thought. When the negative appearance comes, you must look it right in the face and say, I see you. You are a fact of the material world, but you are not the truth of God. My supply is on its way. It is established. And then you go back to the prayer. You persist. There are 3 specific traps that will kill your demonstration before it is born. You must watch for them like a hawk. 1. The trap of outline. We often try to dictate how God should answer our prayer. We pray for money, but we have a specific picture in our mind. It must come from a raise at work, or it must come from selling this house. This is fatal. When you outline the channel, you are telling infinite intelligence that it is limited. You are shutting off a million other channels to force the water through one tiny pipe. When you pray, give us this day our daily bread, you must leave the how to the Father. Maybe the money comes from a raise. Maybe it comes from a tax refund. Maybe it comes from a gift. Maybe it comes from an idea that leads to a new career. You do not know the best way God does. Your job is to claim the abundance. God's job is to deliver the logistics. Do not strangle your miracle by trying to micro-manage the universe. 2. The trap of negative conversation. This is a law of mind that is rarely understood. Do not talk about your demonstrations before they happen. When you have a great idea or a spiritual realization, it is like steam in a boiler. If you keep it contained, it builds pressure and drives the engine manifestation. But if you open the valve, if you run around telling your friends, I'm praying for $1 million, or I'm using this new spiritual technique, you are letting the steam out. You are dissipating the power in idle chatter. Furthermore, when you tell others, you invite their doubts. They will raise their eyebrows. They will say, oh, be realistic. And their doubt will mix with your faith and neutralize it. Jesus warned us repeatedly, see that thou tell no man. Go into your closet. Shut the door. Do the work in secret. When the result appears, the result will speak for itself. You won't have to tell anyone. They will see the change in your life. Until then, silence is golden. Silence is power. 3. The trap of resentment is the insulator. I must return to this because it is the most common cause of failure. You can pray the Lord's Prayer for 10 hours a day. But if you are holding a grudge against your brother, you are praying into a vacuum. Resentment acts like rubber insulation on a wire. It stops the flow of electrical current. God is love. You cannot contact love with a heart full of hate. It is a mismatch of frequency. If you are not getting results, check your resentment list. Who are you condemning? Who are you criticizing? It doesn't matter if they deserve it. You are not punishing them by hating them. You are punishing yourself. You are cutting off your own oxygen supply. You must release them. You must use the forgiveness clause of the prayer as a solvent to wash your soul clean. The moment you truly let go, the dam breaks and the demonstration floods in. Emmet Fox gave the world a simple method called the Golden Key, and it applies perfectly here. When you are in trouble, when the fear is high, when the pain is sharp, stop thinking about the problem. Stop analyzing it. Stop trying to figure out a solution. Instead, think about God. Use the clauses of the Lord's Prayer to do this. If you are afraid of poverty, do not think about the poverty. Do not think about the money you need. Think about our Father. Think about the kingdom. Think about the nature of God as infinite, endless, lavish supply. Every time your mind tries to go back to the problem, and it will, 100 times a day, gently turn it back to God. Say, no, that is the old movie. Hallowed be thy name. This is mental discipline. It is the hardest work you will ever do, but it is the only work that pays real dividends. If you can keep your mind on the high watch for even a few minutes, the crisis will break. It has to. Darkness cannot exist in the presence of light. We are coming to the end of this instruction. The intellectual part is over. Now the experimental part begins. I challenge you. I challenge you not to just believe this, but to prove it. Make a covenant with yourself for the next 7 days. For 7 days, agree that you will not indulge in a single negative thought. You will not complain about the weather, the government, your health, or your finances. For 7 days, you will start and end your day with the forbidden prayer. Not reciting it, but realizing it. You will take 15 minutes in the morning to slowly chew on every word, claiming it as the law of your life. If a problem arises during the day, you will not panic. You will stop, take a breath, and say, "Thy kingdom come, thy will be done." You will remind yourself that the will of God is your perfection. If you do this, if you really do this, with sincerity and persistence, I promise you that you will see miracles. You will see the long arm of coincidence working in your favor. You will find parking spaces opening up. You will find people being unusually cooperative. You will find money appearing from unexpected sources. You will feel a peace that you haven't felt in years. You are an instrument of the divine. You are here to express life, and to express it more abundantly. Poverty is not a virtue. Sickness is not a trial sent by God. It is a shadow cast by fear. You have the tool. The Lord's Prayer is the master key. It fits every lock. It opens every door. Do not say you are too old, or too poor, or too uneducated. The law of mind does not care about your past. It only cares about your current thought. You can start a new life this very hour. The past is dead. The future is unborn. The only time is now. And now is the accepted time of salvation. Stand up. Shake off the dust of your limitations. Claim your heritage. You are a prince of the universe. Walk like one. Talk like one. Think like one. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. It is not a hope. It is a fact. Go now and demonstrate it.